Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Capital Carnage. Today we are going to be talking about the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution. We're just halfway through the Bill of Rights now. Now, many of you are probably sitting there saying, "Oh, I know the Fifth Amendment. That's the one that you say if you don't want to incriminate yourself." That is a gross oversimplification of the issue. The Fifth Amendment actually covers more than just that. It's been simplified to that effect, largely due to what entertainment media allows us to see. And it's been done with the purpose, in my opinion, caveat in my opinion, it's been done with the purpose of leading the public to believe that someone who pleads the fifth is obviously guilty, because they're only doing it so that they don't incriminate themselves. So I'm going to read through it once, and then we'll go through it again, and we'll break it down piece by piece. So it says here that no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service, in times of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. That was a mouthful. So let's break that down. First and foremost, it says, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury. So this is essentially another way of saying that you cannot be prosecuted without some form of evidence, because the indictment has to come with evidence, and the presentment is, again, speaking to evidence. The evidence, of course, would be presented to the grand jury from whom the decision would be made. So again, this is another way of protecting people from being prosecuted without proper proof that they've actually done something, done the crime for which they've been being accused. Except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia. So there's this little asterisk they've put in there that essentially says, yeah, our military personnel, we get to hold them to a separate standard. But do they always get to hold them to a separate standard? That's covered in the next part. When in actual service in times of war or public danger, what we would call today active duty. So yes, if you are on active duty and you perform a crime, the criminal process in the military is, I do not know firsthand, but from what I understand, varies away from what we see in the public. They handle things a little differently inside the military. So, and I do not know enough about that process to comment on it further, so I'm going to move on. So, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. This is where the rule of no double jeopardy comes from. This is the thing that allows it so that if I use this example a lot because it was a very famous case. Everybody's aware of the case for of O.J. Simpson and whether or not he murdered Nicole Simpson and Goldman. I don't remember Goldman's first name. Sorry. So he was, and this one's famous because he lost the civil case. There was enough evidence for the civil case to believe him guilty, but he won the criminal case because there was not enough evidence, according to the courts, to convict him. So he was able to walk out a free man. Now, under the rules of double jeopardy, once that court case was over, he could have walked out onto those steps, looked the camera right in the eye, the news camera right in the eye, and said, "I did it." And he couldn't have been charged again. He can't. The double jeopardy is, now I'm giving a gross simplification as well, but one of the things of double jeopardy is if you beat the charges once, you cannot be brought up on the same charges. That being said, double jeopardy, well, you could argue, yes, it can be abused by someone who gets away with a crime. It could, but it's much less likely than the abuse that would happen if that rule wasn't there. Because if that rule wasn't there, if, let's say your government had a problem with you, they could just keep bringing criminal charges against you. Now, when I say your government, bear in mind, I'm not talking about Washington, D.C. necessarily. Your police are an extension of your government, of your local government, your town, city, or state government. So just bear in mind, when I say your government, I'm not necessarily talking about Congress or the Senate or the White House. I am talking about a governing body that has jurisdiction over you. Now, so that being said, double jeopardy, very important. Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. Well, that is the part of this amendment that everybody already seems to know about. And if they don't even know about that, then God have mercy on their soul. I hope they never get in trouble. Yes, you're not allowed to bear witness against yourself. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that one because everybody seems to know about that one. Nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Again, this is protecting the people against the government. You cannot be imprisoned, killed, or have your property seized and taken away from you without going through the proper process, without a trial, without charges being brought against you, without proof being presented. All of this is to protect the people. Okay, it's so that if on the off chance the government official takes it into their own hands and decides to kill you, at the very least, that government official will now be brought to trial and hopefully prosecuted, depending on how corrupt your current government system is. Hopefully it's not that corrupt. For those of you in New York City, I'm so sorry. Moving on from there, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Now, this was put in place so the government could not kick people off their land without paying them for it. Now, the government plays with the wording on things like this. They really do, because it says just compensation. It doesn't say who gets to decide what just compensation is. So while we should be glad that this rule is here, bear in mind that it can be abused, because if the government decides they want your property and are going to take it from you, their just compensation probably is not going to be decided by you. It will most likely be decided by them. And it's very possible that it will not meet with your approval. The good news is because of this, if that happens, you do have a You do have a court case if you can afford to pursue it, and you may win and be able to get more money. But at the end of the day, it's more hoops to jump through. It's a lot of rigmarole. Again, it's important, but you hope you never ever have to use it. So again, going through it, the Fifth Amendment covers a lot more than just not incriminating yourself. It also covers, as I said, it also covers double jeopardy. It covers your right to a trial, not being prosecuted without one. It covers these things. It's mostly all about your freedom and security and protection from your government, like most of the Bill of Rights is. The Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments of the Constitution, are there to protect you from your government. And they get trampled on. They do. They've been being trampled on for years, as I've said in my other videos. The Bill of Rights has been a thorn in the side of tyrannical government since our inception. And since our inception, certain individuals in the government have been trying to strip that away so that they could break down the barrier of protection that the people have. And there have been varying degrees of success by varying individuals in this effort. So, that has been the Fifth Amendment. Hopefully this was educational or enjoyable, or at the very least you enjoyed this breakdown of the Fifth Amendment. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I am Ken Carnage. Si vis pacem. Parabellum.